Daniel the great white shark was not your typical predator of the ocean. Sure, he had the menacing teeth, the powerful tail, and the reputation to boot. But what Daniel really loved was routine. Every morning, he'd wake up at the crack of dawn, swim around his favorite reef, and then head to the Great Blue, a local underwater cafe where all the sharks congregated. "Morning, Daniel," greeted Barry, a burly bull shark who ran the cafe. "Morning, Barry. The usual, please," Daniel replied, trying to stifle a yawn. "Another rough night?" Barry asked, while preparing a kelp latte with a side of tuna toast. "You have no idea. The seagulls were at it again, squawking all night. And then there's the whole reputation thing. Can't even swim past a school of fish without them scattering like I'm some kind of monster." Barry chuckled. "Well, you are a great white, you know." Yeah, Daniel sighed. "But a guy can dream, right?" Daniel's dream was simple, but peculiar for a shark. He wanted to be a stand-up comedian. Unfortunately, the ocean was a tough crowd, especially for a shark known for his deadly bite. Little did he know, his daily routine was about to be turned upside down. One day, while lounging near his favorite reef, Daniel noticed a commotion. A new shark had moved into the neighborhood, and not just any shark, a hammerhead named Hank. Hank was friendly, funny, and, most importantly, had a head shaped like a hammer. What's not to like? "Hey there, I'm Hank," said the newcomer, extending a fin. "Daniel, nice to meet you," Daniel replied, slightly suspicious. "I've heard about you. The legendary Great White," Hank exclaimed. "Must be tough living up to that name." "You have no idea," Daniel muttered. "I actually do a bit of comedy on the side." "Ever tried it?" Hank asked, his eyes twinkling with mischief. Daniel perked up. "Comedy? You're kidding, right?" "Dead serious. There's a gig tonight at the Coral Club. Open mic. Why don't you give it a shot?" Daniel's heart raced. This was his chance to finally pursue his dream. With Hank's encouragement, he decided to take the plunge. The Coral Club was packed that night. Fish of all kinds had gathered to watch the show. Daniel's nerves were on edge. He had practiced a few jokes, but what if they didn't land? What if the crowd just saw him as a threat? Hank, sensing Daniel's anxiety, gave him a reassuring pat on the back. "You've got this. Just be yourself." When it was Daniel's turn, he swam up to the stage, the spotlight hitting him like a harpoon. He cleared his throat and began. "So, a tuna, a mackerel, and a great white walk into a bar." To his surprise, the audience laughed, not just a polite chuckle, but genuine laughter. Daniel gained confidence with each joke, playing off the crowd's reactions. By the end of his set, he was met with thunderous applause. "That was amazing!" Hank cheered as Daniel swam off the stage. "Thanks, Hank. I couldn't have done it without you," Daniel replied, beaming with pride. But as the night went on, Daniel couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. There was a familiar face in the crowd, someone he hadn't seen in a long time. After his successful debut, Daniel began performing regularly at the Coral Club. He quickly became a favorite among the sea creatures, who adored his witty humor and relatable jokes about ocean life. Yet the nagging feeling that he was being watched persisted. One night, after another stellar performance, Daniel spotted a peculiar shark in the back of the club. It was his old schoolmate, Leonard, a fellow great white with a mischievous grin. "Daniel, my old friend, long time no see," Leonard greeted, swimming over. "Leonard, what are you doing here?" Daniel asked, his surprise evident. "I've been following your career, buddy. Quite the comedian you've become. But I have a question for you. Ever thought about taking your act to the next level?" "What do you mean?" Daniel asked, intrigued. "There's a big comedy competition in the Pacific. Winner gets a full-time gig at the Great Blue Gala, the most prestigious event in the ocean. You should enter." Daniel hesitated. Competing on such a large stage was intimidating, but Leonard's enthusiasm was contagious. "I'll think about it," Daniel said, though his mind was already made up. The Great Blue Gala was the talk of the ocean. Sharks, dolphins, and even a few whales gathered to witness the best comedic talents the sea had to offer. Daniel had never felt more nervous. As he waited backstage, he overheard other contestants discussing their secret weapons, unique jokes, impressions, and even a musical number by a talented dolphin duo. Leonard appeared, looking more excited than ever. "Ready to make history?" "Ready as I'll ever be," Daniel replied, trying to calm his nerves. When it was Daniel's turn, he took a deep breath and swam onto the stage. The audience was vast, but he spotted a few familiar faces, including Hank and Barry, who had come to support him. Daniel launched into his routine, but halfway through, he noticed something odd. The audience was reacting to his jokes even before he delivered the punchlines. Confused, he looked around and saw Leonard, lurking in the shadows, mouthing the jokes along with him. Realization hit him like a tidal wave. Leonard had been spying on his rehearsals, feeding his material to the other contestants. Betrayed and furious, Daniel improvised a new set on the spot, drawing from personal experiences and ad-libbing jokes. To his amazement, the crowd roared with laughter. They loved his spontaneity and raw humor. When the final applause came, it was clear Daniel had won. Backstage, Daniel confronted Leonard. "Why did you do it?" Leonard shrugged, a guilty look on his face. "I wanted to see if you could handle the pressure, to see if you were truly funny or just lucky. And you proved yourself, Daniel. You're the real deal." Before Daniel could respond, a voice interrupted. "Excellent performance, Daniel. Truly impressive." It was Barry, but something was different. Barry's burly bull shark exterior seemed to shimmer, and in an instant he transformed into Poseidon, the god of the sea. "Barry? Poseidon? What's going on?" Daniel stammered. "I've been watching over you, Daniel," Poseidon said, his voice deep and resonant. "You have a gift, not just for comedy, but for bringing joy to others. I wanted to make sure you realized your full potential." Daniel was speechless. The cafe owner, his confidant, had been a god in disguise all along. Poseidon continued, "The Great Blue Gala needs someone like you, Daniel. Someone who can unite the ocean's creatures with laughter and love. Will you accept the position?" Daniel looked around at his friends, his newfound audience, and then back at Poseidon. "I'd be honored." And so, Daniel the great white shark, once just another predator in the sea, became the ocean's greatest comedian, bringing laughter and unity to all. His secret identity forever entwined with his legendary humor.